Hello everyone and welcome to another Deck Tech by the Trinisphere. I am Adam the Johnny, and this week we are going to tackle Adun Oakenshield. We're going to turn this Recursion commander into a beautiful combo Recursion commander. So we are going to dive right in, but before we do that, make sure that you slam that like and subscribe below and hit the bell icon so you can get notifications on further Deck Techs. So, we're going to jump right in with the overall concept of the deck. The concept of the deck is that it is a Jund pod deck. We are basically making a birthing pod deck to get to a combo that we will discuss a little bit later in the deck tech. But before that, we are going to get into the lands situation. So, for the lands, we are going to run the full complement of Duels. So we've got Badlands, Bayou, and Taiga. Then we have Blood Crypt, Stomping Ground, Overgrown Tomb for our Shocklands. And we have Wooded Foothills, Verdant Catacombs, and Bloodstained Mire for our fetches. In addition to those, we are going to run some extra spicy ones. We are going to run the Cabal Coffers and Urborg, little mini synergy there. And then we are also going to run a Dryad Arbor. Dryad Arbor is going to be particularly important here because if we have a Dryad Arbor and we have a birthing pod, we can start our chain and start to get some of our one-drops. Some of our one-drops are very important in our ramp category and in our combo category. So we're going to need to be able to get those. So Dryad Arbor is really important here, and it's nice to be able to fetch with certain things as well. So let's take a look at the ramp from there. So ramp, we start off with our one-drops, which are Birds of Paradise and Deathrite Shaman. Either of those, again, can be gotten off of Dryad Arbor, or we can get one of our combo pieces we'll talk about in a bit. Our two drops, we have our full complement of signets. So we've got Golgari, Gruul, and Rakdos Signet. At 3 drop, we have Wood Elves and Yavimaya Granger. Wood Elves is able to get us any forest, which means any of our dual lands. In addition to that, it can get us our Dryad Arbor. So it has a little bit of extra built-in utility there. Yavimaya Granger is a really good card, and it's able to block for 1 turn, or we can just not pay its echo and then bring it back to our hand with Adun. So it's almost got its own sack outlet and recursion built in there. So we really like that one. From the ramp, we're going to go over some just utility pieces because we need to get to, in any combo deck, we need to get to all of our combo pieces. And the best way to do that is by drawing and tutoring. So let's go over the draw spells. We have Carven Caryatid, Dusk Legion Zealot, Elvish Visionary, and Stray Cat. In addition, we have Phyrexian Rager, Satyr Wayfinder, Gitrog Monster, and Wall of Blossoms. Then kind of in their own category of pseudo-draw is Grizzly Salvage and Stinkweed Imp. By fueling our graveyard, you'll see that we have a lot of recursion elements, including Adun himself, which will allow us to basically use our graveyard as our hand. So we're kind of counting these things that fill our graveyard as draw spells as well. So those are going to be some key pieces that will allow us to get to our combo pieces later on. So for tutors, we are going to have obviously Birthing Pod. We're calling this Jund Pod. In addition to that, we have Demonic Tutor, Eldritch Evolution, which is kind of like a one-time pod effect, so we like to have that in here. Fauna Shaman, Survival of the Fittest, which is the better version of Fauna Shaman, and Sidisi, so Demonic Tutor on a stick. It also sacrifices a creature, so it allows us to fill up our graveyard so that we can use things for other things later on, as well as tutor for something. So some really good utility there. Now, our recursion elements. We have Adun Oakenshield himself. Then we have Body Snatcher, Crypt Champion, Driver of the Dead, Marin of Clan Neltoth, Phyrexian Delver, and Swift Warkite. Those are all going to help us get a lot of our low drops back on the battlefield after we sack them to Birthing Pod or to other things in order to just keep this cycle going over and over and over. We have some additional types of recursion here. We have World Shaper, which will help fill up our graveyard. When it dies, we get all of the lands that we've put into our graveyard from Gitrog and other means, and then get them back. So it helps us ramp a little bit. It helps us recur a little bit. It's a 3/3 for 4, so not too bad. We also have Crucible of Worlds for a lot of the same purposes. We have Life from the Loam and Eternal Witness. And then we have some particularly spicy ones. We've got Living Death, which is going to allow us to win out of nowhere. We do have a couple of things that will work on ETB. And then we have Rift Sweeper. So the bane of most combo decks' existence is when you end up getting one of your combo pieces exiled. So we put a Rift Sweeper in here that we can pod for with one of our low drops if we need to get one of our combo pieces back. But the important part here is that we have this Living Death. And the Living Death is going to combo very well with, if we fill up our graveyard with a whole bunch of stuff, especially a lot of black creatures, and we Living Death, then we can potentially bring back a Grey Merchant of Asphodel at the same time. So this is kind of an alternate win condition. This isn't what we're shooting for, but the Grey Merchant coming back with a whole bunch of other things can at least swing the game in our favor a little bit, get us back in the game, and or just win us the game outright or take out a couple of players. All right, so the rest of the deck is control and combo. So let's go over some of the control elements. We have Bane of Progress and Manglehorn to get rid of some of the pesky enchantments and or artifacts and slow some of those things down. Then we have a lot of creature removal. We have Bone Shredder, Custody Lich, Dictate of Erebos, Fleshbag Marauder, Massacre Worm, Merciless Executioner, Noxious Gearhulk, Plague Crafter, Ravenous Chupacabra, and Shriek Maw. All of those are going to be used to clear the board, and a lot of them, like Shriek Maw and like Bone Shredder, put themselves back in the graveyard so that we can recur them later with one of our many recursion spells or with Adun. So without further ado, let's talk about our combos. So we have one very well-known combo, which is going to be Kiki Jiki, Mirror Breaker, and Zealous Conscripts. So these two cards together will win us the game. We get infinite attackers. So we do that by potting away our 4-drop creatures and by tutoring to get these pieces and casting them. We would optimally like to just pod them away and get these for much cheaper, but we also have recursion that allows us to potentially get both of them into play, or use a Phyrexian Delver to get it back into play, or Driver of the Dead or something like that will allow us to get these cards back to play together and then just win. Our other combo is pretty much Murderous Redcap and Melira Sylvok Outcast. Okay? There are some other pieces here because we need to have sack outlets, and we've got 3 specific sack outlets that we can go for, which are Yeheni Undying Partisan, Carrion Feeder, and Viscera Seer. All of which give us decent value on their own, but with this combo just wins you the game. So if you have Murderous Redcap, Melira, and any sack outlet, you're going to win the game as long as you're undisrupted. Some things that kind of augment those, if you're potentially disrupted in the middle of that, or you don't have the full combo online and you're just sacking some creatures for value, would be Zulaport Cutthroat and Blood Artist. They're going to allow you to stay in the game, get some value off of some of your creatures as they die, or if they need to be wiped off the board, you can sacrifice them to one of your sack outlets and then gain a little bit of life, do a little bit of damage to other people. And then we round the whole thing out with just probably one of my favorite creatures, Wormcoil Engine. So we had an extra slot in here. You can put really anything that you want in here. I wanted a Wormcoil just because it's a great attacker, it's a great blocker, it makes tokens. You can sack it, you can bring it back. When you sack it, you get tokens off of it. It gains you life to keep you in the game a little bit longer. It's just all around pretty good if you end up potting up to a 6-drop. It's not optimally what you want to be doing. Your 5 drops can win you the game in some cases, but if you're needing to go up to a 6 drop because you're not going to win that way, then this is something to go for. This or a Noxious Gearhulk or a Massacre Worm. So that is going to do it. You guys can check out the actual deck list right down in the description below. Again, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Give me all the comments you got. This is not the most budget-friendly list, but if you've got something that you think needs to go in here, that you think can cut down on the budget other than the land base or something like that, give me your deck lists for Adun. I would love to see all of them. So until next time, guys, keep brewing.